probably taught them off camera. You feel me? That's probably what I would have done different. You know, of course, I'm gonna speak my mind and tell me what, and say what I need, what I see out there. But you know, it what it is. Football, man. Just me and Shedeur are good. You know, stuff like that happens. You know, y'all gonna make it bigger than what it is. You know, because it's the media. You know, and that's what y'all feed off of, negativity. You know, but it is what it is. This is the life we live. So, you know, we move on from it. And I live a real life. You know, so what happened around in this locker room, you know, this real, not what's going on social media and everything. So me and Shedeur good, everything good, man. We gravy over here.
Jerry Jeudy really chose the worst possible way to clean up this mess. It didn't take long for damage control to turn into more problems. He came out trying to act like everything was cool, throwing around phrases like "we gravy" and blaming the media for making it bigger than it is. And the crazy thing is that nobody's buying it. Not one bit. This whole statement shows one thing. Jerry knows he messed up bad, and now he's scrambling to save face. Jeudy walked into that press conference like he could smooth it all over with some casual talk and brotherhood language. But what he really did was make it worse. He said he probably should have talked to Shedeur off camera. That right there tells you everything. He knows it looked terrible. He knows the world saw him going off on a rookie quarterback on national television. And instead of taking full responsibility, he's out here saying it is what it is, and that's just football. No, Jerry, that's not just football. That a veteran receiver losing his composure and disrespecting his quarterback in front of millions of people. That a grown man who couldn't control his emotions when things weren't going his way. And the worst part? He had the nerve to blame the media for making it bigger than it is. The media didn't create that sideline blow-up. The cameras didn't force you to stand over Shedeur, yelling and pointing. You did that all by yourself. The media just showed the world what really happened. And now you're mad, because people saw exactly who you are when the pressure's on. Jerry keeps saying, "me and Shar good." Like if he repeats enough times, everyone will forget what they saw. But here's the reality. When you have to keep telling people everything's fine, it usually means everything is not fine. When you have to go on camera and say, "we gravy" 3 different ways, it means there's real tension that you're trying to cover up. The thing that makes this so frustrating is how Jerry's trying to act like the victim here. Talking about y'all feed off negativity and this is the life we live. Brother, nobody forced you to create that scene. Nobody made you stand over your quarterback like you were his father scolding him. You created the negativity. The media just reported it. And let's be real about something else. Jerry said he was just telling Shedeur what he sees out there. Okay, fine. But there's a way to communicate with your quarterback, especially a young one who's just getting his feet wet in the NFL. You don't do it by standing over him, yelling, and making a scene that becomes the biggest story of the week. You do it calmly, you do it privately, or you at least do it with some respect. Shedeur was sitting down, trying to process the game, trying to lead his team. And here comes Jerry, animated, aggressive, making it all about himself. That's not leadership. That's not veteran presence. That's ego taking over when things aren't going your way. People don't know how much pressure Shedeur's already dealing with. He's a young quarterback trying to prove himself in one of the hardest positions in sports. He's got a struggling team around him, a fan base that's desperate for wins, and constant scrutiny on every throw he makes. The last thing he needs is his own receiver creating drama on the sideline and then trying to blame the media for reporting it. Jerry can say we move on from it all he wants. But the tape doesn't lie. The body language doesn't lie. And the fact that he felt the need to come out and do damage control tells you everything about how bad this really was.
Everything is magnified. Everything is magnified, especially when you're losing. Obviously, all the turmoil, all the questions, all the.
No, it ain't, because everything was magnified. Was it magnified because, what about the Eagles?
Oh, it's magnified. Oh, yeah.
You see?
and their situation is magnified because even though they were winning during that time.
And this is exactly where the real truth comes out. The analyst just said what everyone's thinking. Everything is magnified when you're losing. And that's the problem Jerry doesn't want to face. He wants to act like this is just media drama, like it's just people trying to create controversy out of nothing. But the reality is simple. When you're losing and your veteran receiver is getting into it with your rookie quarterback on the sideline in his second NFL start. That's a massive problem. That's not just magnified drama. That's a real issue that affects the whole team. The analyst brought up the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's absolutely right. Even when they were winning, their internal drama became a story because people could see it. When players post stuff on social media, when there's clear tension between teammates, it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. It becomes news. But here's the difference. The Eagles had success to fall back on. Cleveland doesn't. Cleveland is struggling. And when you're struggling and your locker room is showing cracks, that's when everything falls apart. What makes this even worse is the timing. Shedeur's second start, his second game as an NFL quarterback. And instead of rallying around him, instead of supporting him, Jerry Jeudy is on the sideline making a scene. That's not what veterans are supposed to do. Veterans are supposed to steady the ship, calm the young guys down, and keep the team together when things get tough. But Jerry couldn't do that. He let his emotions take over. He let his frustration with losing turn into a public confrontation with the one player who needs support the most. And now he wants to act like it's no big deal because that's just football. No, man. That's bad leadership. That's putting yourself above the team. The analyst said it perfectly. Two players were not on the same page, and their way of communicating wasn't the right way. Jerry can make all the excuses he wants, but at the end of the day, he communicated the wrong way. He handled it the wrong way. And now the whole world knows that there's tension between him and Shedeur, whether they want to admit it or not. And here's what's really frustrating about this whole situation. Jerry keeps trying to downplay it, but everyone with eyes can see what happened. The body language was terrible. The aggression was clear. Shedeur was sitting down, and Jerry stood over him, animated, pointing, making a scene. That's not just competitive fire. That's disrespect. If they were winning, maybe people would give Jerry a pass. Maybe they'd say, that's just two competitors holding each other accountable. But they're not winning. They're losing. And when you're losing and your veteran receiver is creating drama instead of solutions, that's when people start questioning everything. The Browns are in a tough spot right now. They've got a young quarterback trying to find his way. They got a frustrated fan base. They've got questions about coaching, about play calling, about the whole direction of the team. And the last thing they need is internal drama between their quarterback and their top receiver. But that's exactly what Jerry gave them. People don't realize how fragile locker rooms are when you're losing. One bad interaction can snowball into something much bigger. One public argument can create sides, create tension, and destroy the trust that teams need to function. And Jerry just handed the Browns all of that drama on a silver platter. Meanwhile, Shedeur's trying to keep it professional. He's not out here blasting Jerry in the media. He's not creating more drama. He's doing what young quarterbacks are supposed to do. Stay focused, stay mature, and try to lead through the noise. But Jerry made that so much harder by creating this mess in the first place.
Why he got to be the media? The media job is to report what it sees.
Absolutely.
You got these demonstrative antics. What do you think they think? And I told you, it could have been nothing, Ocho. But when you get animated like this, and Shedeur was sitting down, and then all of a sudden Shedeur stands up and says, what do you think?
Absolutely.
This is where Jerry's whole excuse falls apart completely. The analyst just destroyed his blame the media defense in about 10 seconds. And he's absolutely right. Jerry wants everyone to believe that the media is creating drama out of nothing. He wants people to think that reporters are just looking for controversy where there isn't any. But here's the simple truth. The media's job is to report what they see. That's it. They point cameras at the sideline, they capture what happens, and they show it to the world. They didn't create Jerry's demonstrative antics. They just filmed them. When you get animated as Jerry did, when you're standing over your quarterback, yelling and pointing and making a scene, what do you think is going to happen? Did you really think cameras wouldn't capture that? Did you really think people wouldn't talk about it? This is the NFL. Everything is on camera. Everything is scrutinized. And when you create drama, it gets reported. That's not the media's fault. That's yours. The analyst said it could have been nothing. And he's right about that, too. If Jerry had a quick, calm conversation with Shedeur, nobody would have cared. If he pulled him aside quietly and said, hey, I saw something different on that route, It would have been forgotten in 5 seconds. But that's not what happened. Jerry made it demonstrative. Jerry made a scene. Jerry made it something that everyone watching the game couldn't ignore. And then Shedeur stood up. That right there tells you everything about how disrespectful Jerry was being. Shedeur was sitting down, probably trying to stay calm, trying to focus on the next series. But Jerry kept going. He kept pushing. He kept making it bigger. Until finally, Shedeur had to stand up and face him. That's not two teammates having a normal sideline conversation. That's one player crossing a line and the other one having to defend himself. What's really infuriating about Jerry's blame game is how it shows his complete lack of accountability. Instead of saying, yeah, I handled that wrong, I should have been more professional, he's pointing fingers at the media. Instead of taking responsibility for his actions, he's trying to make it seem like reporters are the bad guys for doing their jobs. The media didn't make you yell at Shedeur, Jerry. The media didn't force you to stand over him aggressively. The media didn't create the tension between you two. All the media did was show the world what you did. And now you're mad that people saw it. This is what happens when veterans don't know how to lead. Jerry's been in the league long enough to know how this works. He knows cameras are everywhere. He knows that sideline drama becomes headlines. And yet, he still couldn't control himself. He still let his emotions take over. And now he's trying to blame everyone except the person who's actually responsible, himself. Meanwhile, Shedeur is the one who looks like the mature one in this situation. A rookie quarterback who stayed as calm as he could while a veteran was in his face. A young player who didn't escalate things further even though he had every right to. That's the kind of composure that you can't teach. That's the kind of leadership that Shedeur's been showing since day one. But Jerry? Jerry showed that when things get tough, he loses control. When the team's struggling and the plays aren't working, he doesn't respond like a leader. He responds like someone who's more worried about his own frustration than the team's success. And the worst part is how this affects the team moving forward. Even if Jerry and Shedeur really are gravy, like Jerry claims, the whole league just watched their drama play out on national television. Opponents see that. Other teams see division. They see a veteran who doesn't respect his quarterback. They see a locker room that might not be as solid as the Browns want everyone to believe. That's the real damage here. Not just the one moment on the sideline, but what it reveals about the team's chemistry and Jerry's ability to be the veteran presence they need.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Just say, look, guys, yeah, I could have handled that situation better. I'm the vet in this situation. I should have handled that situation a lot better than what I did. I saw something one way, he saw it another way. Whatever differences we had, that could have been resolved behind closed doors. I was always conscious of that, Ocho, because I know, I'm demonstrative, because I already know. So now you start yelling, I start yelling, you say something, and the one thing I don't ever want to go across a bridge that I can't go back across.
And right here, this analyst just gave Jerry Jeudy the perfect blueprint for how he should have handled this entire situation. Word for word, this is exactly what a real veteran would have said. This is exactly how a mature leader takes accountability. But Jerry didn't say any of this. And that's the problem. Listen to what the analyst laid out. I could have handled that situation better. I'm the vet in this situation. That's accountability. That's ownership. That's recognizing that when you're the experienced player and you're dealing with a rookie quarterback, you have a responsibility to be the bigger person. Jerry had the chance to say exactly this, but instead, he blamed the media and tried to act like it was no big deal. The analyst continued, whatever differences we had, that could have been resolved behind closed doors. This is Leadership 101. When you have an issue with your quarterback, you handle it privately. You don't create a public spectacle that becomes the biggest story of the week. You don't embarrass your teammate on national television. You handle it like professionals behind closed doors, where it belongs. But Jerry didn't do that. He chose the opposite. He chose to make it public, make it dramatic, and make it impossible to ignore. And now he's trying to clean it up with weak excuses instead of real accountability. The analyst even acknowledged that he knows Jerry is demonstrative. He knows Jerry wears his emotions on his sleeve. But that's exactly why Jerry needs to be more careful. When you know you're an emotional player, when you know you get fired up easily, you have to control that even more. You can't let your emotions dictate how you treat your teammates, especially your quarterback. The wisdom in this next part is incredible. The one thing I don't ever want to go across a bridge that I can't go back across. You say something in the heat of the moment. This is real talk right here. When you're angry, when you're frustrated, you say things you can't take back. You damage relationships that might never fully recover. And Jerry was dangerously close to crossing that bridge with Shedeur. Think about what could have been said in that heated moment. We don't know exactly what words were exchanged, but we know the energy was aggressive. We know Jerry was animated and emotional. And in moments like that, people say things they regret. The analyst said it perfectly. Drunk kids and angry people will tell you how they truly feel about you. When you're angry, the filter comes off. The real feelings come out. And sometimes those words cut so deep that you can never fully repair the damage. That's what Jerry risked on that sideline. He risked saying something or doing something that would permanently damage his relationship with Shedeur. He risked creating a rift in the locker room that could follow them for the rest of the season. All because he couldn't control his emotions in that moment. And here's what makes this even more frustrating. Jerry has been in the NFL long enough to know better. He's been through losing seasons before. He's been through frustrating games. He's been in tough situations with quarterbacks who were struggling. This isn't his first rodeo. But somehow, in his second game with a rookie quarterback, he still couldn't keep it together. Meanwhile, Shedeur handled it with incredible maturity. He didn't escalate. He didn't fire back with the same energy. He stood up when he needed to, but he didn't turn it into an even bigger scene. That's the kind of composure that veteran players are supposed to have, but instead, the rookie was the one showing it. People don't realize how dangerous these moments are for young quarterbacks. Shedeur is trying to establish himself as a leader. He's trying to earn the respect of his teammates and prove that he belongs in the NFL. When a veteran receiver publicly disrespects him like Jerry did, it undermines all of that. It makes him look weak in front of the team if he doesn't respond. But if he responds too strongly, he looks like he can't control his emotions either. Jerry put Shedeur in an impossible situation. And instead of apologizing for it, instead of taking the accountability that the analyst laid out perfectly, Jerry's out here saying "we gravy" and blaming the media. The saddest part about all of this is that it didn't have to be this way. If Jerry had just pulled Shedeur aside calmly after the series, if he had communicated like a professional, none of this would be a story. They could have worked through whatever Jerry saw on the field without creating drama, without damaging their relationship, and without giving the entire NFL world a reason to question the Browns' chemistry. But Jerry chose differently. He chose emotion over professionalism. He chose public confrontation over private communication. And now he's dealing with the consequences of that choice while trying to pretend like it's everyone else's fault. So let's put this all together and see exactly what happened here. Jerry Jeudy had a sideline blow-up with Shedeur Sanders that the entire world saw. Instead of taking accountability like a veteran should, he came out with damage control that only made things worse. He blamed the media for reporting what they saw. He tried to downplay it as just football, and he completely missed the opportunity to show real leadership and maturity. The analysts broke it down perfectly. Everything is magnified when you're losing, and Cleveland is definitely losing. Jerry's demonstrative antics weren't created by the media, they were just filmed by the media. And he had the perfect template for how to apologize and take ownership, but he chose not to use it. What this whole situation reveals is the fundamental problem with how some veterans handle pressure and adversity. When things aren't going well, when the team is struggling, that's when real leaders step up. That's when mature players bring the team together instead of tearing it apart. But Jerry did the opposite. He let his frustration control him. He created division instead of unity. And then he blamed everyone else for noticing. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders continues to show why he's different. In just his second NFL start, dealing with a losing team, dealing with a veteran receiver getting in his face, dealing with constant scrutiny, he stayed composed. He didn't make excuses. He didn't create more drama. He handled it with the kind of maturity that most rookies don't have. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Jerry's out here doing damage control and blaming the media. Shedeur's out here, staying focused and trying to lead his team. Jerry's making excuses. Shedeur's staying accountable. Jerry's creating problems. Shedeur's trying to solve them. And that's what makes this story so important. It's not just about one sideline argument. It's about what kind of culture the Browns are building. Are they going to be a team where veterans act like professionals and support their young quarterback? Or are they going to be a team where emotions run wild and nobody takes real accountability? Right now, it's looking like the second option. And that's a huge problem for Cleveland moving forward. The Browns need Jerry Jeudy to be a leader. They need him to be the veteran presence that helps Shedeur develop and succeed. But if he can't control his emotions, if he can't communicate properly, and if he can't take accountability when he messes up, then he's not helping this team at all. He's hurting it. People don't know how much damage these moments can cause in a locker room. Teams that are losing are already fragile. Confidence is low. Trust is shaky. Everyone's frustrated. And when veterans add to that frustration instead of easing it, the whole thing can collapse. Jerry Jeudy had a chance to be the bigger person. He had a chance to show real leadership. He had a chance to take accountability and strengthen his relationship with Shedeur. But he chose excuses over ownership. He chose blame over accountability. And he chose to pretend like everything's fine when everyone can see that it's not. The question now is, where do the Browns go from here? Can Jerry and Shedeur really move past this? Can they build the chemistry they need to succeed? Or is this just the first crack in a relationship that's going to keep causing problems all season long? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. Shedeur Sanders has shown he has the maturity and composure to be a franchise quarterback. The question is whether Jerry Jeudy has the maturity to be the kind of veteran receiver a young quarterback needs. Right now, the answer doesn't look good. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the real stories behind the headlines. Drop a comment below and let me know. Do you think Jerry Jeudy owes Shedeur Sanders a real apology? Or do you buy his weak gravy damage control? Let's talk about it.